How do you motivate people using the flow? That's what we'll be talking about in today's session here on Corporate Mechanic. Hello everyone, my name is Joey and welcome to the Corporate Mechanic. So in this session, I would actually like to start a series all about motivation. Okay, specifically, how do you motivate your teams, your employees, your subordinates? There are many concepts of motivation, and I'd like to spend a couple of episodes talking about that. Today, however, we'll be talking about one specific topic on motivation, which is known as the flow, or better yet known as the flow experience. Now, this was something that was coined by a psychologist named as Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. I know I butchered that name. I'm very sorry for that, dude. You did a good work, but I'm very sorry. I really cannot pronounce your name. Okay, but in any rate, what does this mean? What does this concept of the flow mean? The flow is also known sometimes as the zone. You probably have been in a situation wherein you were doing something and you just, did not notice the time. You were just hacking away whatever your work is all about. That type of situation. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have at one point or another in your work and whatever you're doing was able to be in that type of situation. A situation where you're just doing whatever you needed to do without noticing the time and you're just in the zone essentially. Okay? But the question here now is, how do you get in the zone? Because that, as a manager, as a leader, that is something that you really want your people, your team to be in. You want them to be in the zone. You want them to produce good outputs, right? So how do you do that? Well, a couple of things. Actually, there are two things that you need to take into consideration. The first is their abilities. Okay? Whenever you give tasks to your resources, to your team, you have to make sure that it is something that they are very good at. It's something that they are very capable of doing. It is their expertise. It's a bad idea if you give work to somebody that they are not familiar with. Okay? Make sure that whatever work you give them, that is their level of expertise. They're good at that. They perceive themselves to be really capable of doing that work. So that's the first thing. The second thing that you would like them to have is to give them work that they find challenging. Alright? So it's very important that the level of the challenge by which that piece of activity is all about, it's something that they know they're very good at. Okay? Something that they're capable of doing. So for example, you want, let's just say you are for simplicity's sake, you are a carpenter. Okay? You are a carpenter, you're a very experienced carpenter, and you are, that's your skill. Okay? So you're doing carpentry. Now, if for example, that carpenter, you ask that carpenter to build, let's just say you asked him to build a whole cabinet set, something that requires his skills in carpentry, something that requires a lot of carpentry work, something that is within his skill level, something that he finds challenging. You are assured that that person will be in the state of flow. He will encounter that flow experience. It's something that he really likes to do. You will see him, hard at work, probably doing overtime, probably not even having his lunch or dinner, just hacking away. That's the flow state. Once ability meets a certain challenge that that person finds challenging, that is where that person gets in the flow state. Okay? So always take note of these things. Okay? Making sure that it's in their ability and making sure that it is challenging enough for him. Okay? And of course, when you get that person to, when you have these two things intersect with one another, you have to make sure that there is feedback. Making sure that that person actually sees that, yes, I can do it. Yes, my ability actually meets the requirements or the level of challenge for that thing, okay, that activity. Because what will happen? Okay, so that's how to get into the flow state. So what happens if you don't? Okay, if these two conditions are not met, if a person, let's just say, has that ability, but at the same time he does not find it challenging, you would expect the person to be very relaxed. Okay, he will be in a very relaxed state, a very contented state, meaning he's not going to exert any effort because it's easy for him. He'll just, do the work, but he's not excited. His output is not so high because he knows he can do it. He has the ability, but the challenge is just so low. Okay? The challenge is just so low that he won't really exert any more effort. That's what happens. On the flip side, if you give a person work that is very challenging, but at the same time it is not his area of specialization, you can definitely expect that person to be anxious. He will experience a lot of anxiety. Because why are you giving him something that is not in his skill set? Right? So it will just make him feel very anxious. He feels that I cannot do that. It's something that is not my area. So for example, you're asking a carpenter to do, let's just say plumbing work. I probably, if I were a carpenter, I probably have some idea on what that is, but I really don't know how to do it. So if you force me to do something that is not part of my skill set, then I will be very anxious. Okay? So that's what happens. And if you, for example, you give a person a piece of work that is not part of his ability, meaning he's not capable of doing that, but at the same time the challenge is quite easy, still you cannot expect that person to be very excited because it is still not part of his capability. What happens is that person will not really care about that piece of work. He will become apathetic. He does not care. He will feel sad about why am I doing something that I don't know. Even if it's easy, I don't know what that is. I really won't spend time on that. I don't want to touch that. Right? So that's very important. Whenever we give people some work, when we give our resources work, we have to make sure that it is within his ability and he is properly challenged. And by doing that, you can be very much assured that that person, as long as he realizes that it intersects, he will be very much motivated. He will be in the zone. Right? So I do hope I was able to help you guys out, and try to motivate your team, your resources, your employees. So try that out. If you have some comments, feedback, just put that in our comment section. If you'd like to hear for other topics, please do write that as well. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe so that you may be able to get notified if ever we have new updates here on this channel. Okay? So thank you guys for watching. Stay safe and stay blessed.